Everyone, welcome back to another episode of MTME. I am Marcos.
I'm Andy, and do we have a show for you?
Yeah, we've got a lot to catch up on this week. We did not have a show last week, but we're back. So we've got 3 movies for you and 1 television show. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
All right. And the first show we're watching this week is The Crowded Room on Apple TV. It's about this kid who gets mixed up with some people, ends up trying to shoot somebody for some reason, and then now he's being interviewed by a police psychologist / detective type person, trying to figure out what's going on with him. So what do you think, Andy, so far of the show?
I think because I knew a little bit more what it was going to be, what The Crowded Room, the premise was. It's based on a true story. I always forget the guy's name, Billy Milligan, and he was a person that was accused of several crimes, but he was found not guilty of those crimes because he was diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder.
I did not know it was based on a true story.
Yes.
Nice.
So in this, we've got Tom Holland's character. They changed his name. His name is Danny Sullivan, and he is the character that's being questioned by the detective played by Amanda Seyfried. And I think she does a really good job. I really like her in this.
Yeah, the acting is top notch. And I saw something where Tom Holland said that he had to take like a year off of acting or something because he had such a reaction to this character.
I read that too, and I also read that since filming on this was done almost a year ago, that his year break is already almost over.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's an old story,
Right,
but I just saw it recently related to the story.
Me too.
But I think the acting is great. I think the show is great. It's that I didn't know it was a true story, and I kind of spoiled it for me there. Thanks, dude. With it being, he goes to court about this. But yeah, I going into the show, these first 3 episodes that were released on Apple, they lead you to think that he's got something going on where he's not completely all there, and maybe that the people he's interacting with might not be real either. So
right, and I think maybe because we've seen a lot of, not a lot, but we've seen other movies, other TV shows like this, that I don't think it's the first time I've seen it done. So even though when I first started watching, I was kind of like, what's going on? That's what kind of intrigued me, and I had to read some more. But by the second episode, I had figured out what was going on, even without even knowing the true story here. So
it's kind of like the Fight Club, where he doesn't know that he's got.
Are we supposed to talk about the Fight Club?
Well, maybe, yeah. I'm not talking about Fight Club.
Okay.
I'm talking about the character like Tyler Durden. But yeah, no, I'm definitely pulled into this show. I want to see what happens next. I would totally recommend this to a friend or somebody. But it is something you need to sit down and watch. Like, it's not something you can have on passively at all. Like, if you take your eyes off of it, you're gonna miss details. There's lots of things going on.
It's a little sleepy for me, but I do find that when he's in it and there's characters that are real, like his mom and his stepdad, and then all of a sudden they're involved with these other characters, you need to watch. And if you've already watched it once, you need to go back and watch. The real characters never ever talk to anybody except for Tom Holland's character. Tom Holland's character is the one that's created these other people who we see, and he's the only one that really engages with them.
Right.
So there was I think the one that stands out for me is his mom and his stepdad were telling him to come home, and the guy was saying he didn't want him to come home.
Yeah.
And then his stepdad kind of got into it, but it was all really Tom Holland was the character they engaged with. So.
Yeah. And by the 3rd episode, they totally break all that, and they let you know because. Yeah. Like, there's a part where the big guy comes out of nowhere, and when he's going to be attacked by the drug dealer, he comes out of nowhere, out of the shadows, and he pulls him out. So and then it switches characters, and then his girlfriend reacts to him like he's done something crazy. So,
and I think for me, that's been probably the most enjoyable part of this is I'm trying to figure out, okay, who is in his head, who's real, and who's not. So that's kind of been the tricky thing with this. I think that makes it interesting.
Yeah. Do you think his friends are real?
I thought yes, and I thought no.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what's going on because with the girlfriend's reaction being so volatile that I don't know if the drug dealer is a real person or
if it's him,
or as the whole interaction where she just sees like this brawl between himself,
Right.
And that's why she's so afraid.
There have been people with dissociative identity disorder that have been known to have up to 20 different personalities.
Yeah.
Which is and that's obviously why it's a crowded room. It's crowded up
there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's they've done this kind of story. I don't know. I guess it's a fascinating thing to imagine. I don't think that it's effective. It affects a whole lot of people on society, but And then people try to
makes a good story though.
Yeah, it makes a good story. People try to discredit it all the time. So it really lawyers have to really fight for that kind of a case to be valid in court.
What did you think about Emily Rossum playing his mom when she's literally only about 9 or 10 years
Yeah,
old?
yeah. It's weird. I think they aged her up a little bit with some makeup, but yeah, I thought the same
more like
thing.
his sister. I still felt like it was more like a sister than a mom.
Right, and then they allude to he says something about his brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, his brother, and it seems like he's older. Like, how would he have an older brother?
Yeah, I agree.
Than already, because he's already so much older, or in comparison into Emily Rossum.
The story of the brother from the past, or maybe even,
yeah,
and maybe one thing we don't know, maybe the brother's made up too.
It could be made up too. So yeah, we'll find out, I guess, when they release more episodes. There's 3 episodes out now on Apple. What would you give it as a rating?
I would give it a 6. It's okay. It's okay. I don't think it's a hot recommend for me. It's one I think to watch if you've got some time on your hands. But it's not one I've seen better done.
Yeah, I'll probably go 7. I mean, I think it's a decent watch. It's well paced. It's well written. It could be a little bit. I mean, it's hard to do more action in something like this because it is more of a psychological untangling. Yeah. So, but yeah, check it out. Apple TV.
Go for it. And Amanda Seyfried and Tom Holland are excellent. So.
Yes, definitely. And the first movie we're watching this week is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Spin a web. How's it go?
Spider-Man?
No, Spider-Man. Okay, there you go. Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Okay, all right.
Something is a spider can. Yeah. But yeah, we just come off of a Tom Holland review show, although he is not in the Spider-Verse multiverse.
Keeping the connection going.
The connection going. But yeah, what did you think so far?
I really like the first one. I really like this one. I think I really feel like I'm invested in the character of Miles Morales, voiced by Shameik Moore, and then obviously in this Across the Spider-Verse, he reunites with Gwen Stacy, voiced by Haley Steinfeld, and they then end up traveling across multiverse, many dimensions.
The Spider-Verse,
the Spider-Verse, where they meet a lot of different versions of Spider-Man. And eventually they end up facing an evil version of Miles' uncle. So,
yeah.
Played by Mahershala Ali.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like what they're doing. I really enjoyed, the thing that stood out the most to me was the art style for how they blended so many things together. Like some areas, and it's all in the same frame. Like some areas of the buildings or the animation of the art was a completely different art style than what the foreground characters were, and then they kept pushing it back and forth. And then did you see the watercolored printed dots all over the frames? I like how they did that in a lot of things.
Definitely, it gives you more of you feel like you're actually watching a comic book.
Yeah,
which is kind of for me is from the first one. I like that aspect, and again they carry that over and they continue that, and I like that too. And sometimes when you have a bad guy like the character of Spot. Jason Schwartzman, when you have a character that's, all kind of one-dimensional and all these spots and what's going on, you're following. It's just so well done to me. I was enjoying it.
I was blown away. Yeah, I love the action comedy that they have going on when they have the fight. He's like, did he just kick my own butt? I heard his own butt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like, the comedy. I loved the relationships between Miles and his parents. I think it felt very genuine, very realistic. And
I think between Miles and Gwen, I feel like that's a good relationship that's tying this together too. So.
Yeah. And those two were pretty much the main characters in the last one as well. And they bring back all the supporting characters, all the supporting Spider people in various ways.
280. I read 280 Spider-Man versions in this movie, and something like 98 of them actually have lines at one point in time.
Yeah,
which I don't even remember that, but it's wow.
Yeah, they put it together very well, well written. The
Lego Spider-Man.
That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was good.
So I was really surprised to see that, and I loved how his friend, every time he's sitting there playing the Spider-Man video game. So good. Yeah, so I like that.
And then they even I don't think this is part of the Marvel universe, is it? Because there were some tributes to him, like they showed Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. They had some scenes for them, pay some tribute to some of the.
Right, I was hoping to see Tom Holland in there, and then they also had a little spot with the Venom universe and the grocery or the liquor store, whatever that was.
And then what's his name too? Donald Glover. He was a bad guy. He
Yeah.
all of a sudden pops up in there too.
Well, he
so.
plays the bad guy, his uncle's character. What's
Right, but he was in one of the. Was he in one of? I don't remember who was he with. He was with Tom Holland, wasn't he?
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't
Okay,
think so.
that's
I
right.
don't
Okay.
remember that. I could be wrong. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's in a cage, and there are all these anomalies all over the place. And they delve into like the typical, if you the butterfly effect thing. Like if you mess up
Yes.
one part here, then it affects everything
Mhm.
everywhere else. And
Yeah, like there was the one universe that wasn't supposed to be saved, but they saved it, and they
right.
created this. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was good though.
it creates
Yeah.
all this stuff. So yeah, they've drawn on these these
Mhm.
tropes that have happened a lot
And
of
then,
times.
yeah, man, you had Ziggy Marley, man.
And Ziggy Marley was in it
too.
Yeah, and I love the Indian Spider-Man.
He was good. He was good.
I love how he was just talking about how he just wakes up with his hair and then he doesn't have to do anything and he's just perfect all the time. But I didn't get the little yo-yo or what? Do you know what kind of tool that was? Did you
No.
recognize? I don't know if it was a yo-yo or some kind of like
I don't know.
different toy or
The
tool.
Indian Spider-Man had?
The Indian Spider-Man
I
had,
don't
yeah.
I might have to go back and see that. I don't remember
You
that.
didn't see his
So.
little web thing, whatever.
I do, but I thought it was just part of like a spinner, like a web spinner. But
I didn't know if it was like kind of like if there was web in the thing, but
Gotcha.
who knows? I could be.
Yeah, whereas
wrong.
they say some of the Spider-Man, like it comes out of their skin, some they have
Right,
a
yeah,
tool.
a tool, yeah, some kind of invention, but yeah,
I liked it. My only problem with this movie, and it seems to be a trend right now in Hollywood that is driving me crazy, is you're watching a movie, then all of a sudden, bam, to be continued. And this movie to me was so good, but when they did that to me, it really upset me.
Well, watching this movie, I was thinking in the middle of the movie, I was like, they're setting up a lot of story, a lot of these things. They're trying to get some kind of payoff later on.
Right.
And so when I saw the to be continued, I went into this with no expectations or no knowledge of what was going on. And so when I saw the to be continued, I was like, that makes sense because they had set up so many story plots that I wasn't sure they were going to be able to resolve.
It does make sense. It does make sense. And obviously this is going to be split into 3 parts. But I think we've seen it so much. The Fast and the Furious franchise does it. Now Spider-Man is doing it. And Mission Impossible is going to be doing it. We're even being told the new Mission Impossible movie is going to be part 1.
Really?
So it's like I don't understand. I know it's a money grab, but I don't understand why. Just end the movie, leave some things unfinished, and start a new movie. I don't understand why you have to do to be continued.
Right. And they didn't have a post-credit scene in the Spider-Verse one. I read that, and because they had said that there was no real reason for it, that they ended the movie in a great spot to where they didn't need the extra stuff that Marvel's traditionally have done with these MCU movies. But I mean, really though, the MCU's been doing the to be continued for so long now without actually having the words to be continued.
I know, but I feel like at least it's wrapped up.
Yeah.
And I felt like with this movie, it was long, but I kept thinking, oh, they're going to wrap it up, and it didn't get wrapped up. So it kind of left you at a point where it is a true to be continued because you've got too many. You don't know what's happening with Miles and Gwen. Are they going to survive? Are they going to make it? So yeah.
Yeah, I liked how they kind of took it back to like an 80s cliffhanger. Will they, won't they? What you're just saying.
And maybe to be like a comic book. I guess if you think about that, a true comic book, as I think about it. But I just think for me it's overused right now in Hollywood.
Right. Yeah. I think they're trying to reestablish themselves in theaters. COVID has been a while now, but I think they're still trying to lay it on like, oh, we need to get people back into theaters still. We're still not seeing the return we would like to see in our movies. So
well, all things considered, I know I didn't want to spend too much time on that, but I knew that it was something that bothered me a little bit, so I had to mention that. What would you rate this though overall then?
I would probably give this an 8. Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna give it an 8 too.
Yeah, it's very well done. It's hard to complain about this movie or give it any criticisms because it's so well done,
and family friendly.
Definitely.
I think this movie is definitely worth the entire family seeing it.
Yes, definitely. I'll probably see it again in the theaters. So, but yeah.
Spider-Verse. Spider-Man spins a web like nobody can. I know that's wrong. And our second movie that we watched this week is The Boogeyman. This is a story of high school student Sadie Harper and her younger sister Sawyer. And they basically are still dealing with the death of their mother. And they're really not getting much support from their father. He's a therapist who's dealing with his own issues, working from home. But one of his patients stumbles into the house and brings with him this deadly entity that preys upon its victims, and then the Harper family becomes subjected to the boogeyman.
Yeah, the boogie plague or something.
So,
Yeah,
what do you think?
yeah. Well, he wasn't really one of his patients. He just stumbled in off the
Oh, that's
streets.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was just
he wanted his advice.
yeah.
Right,
He
right,
just wanted to he wanted to spread the boogie
right,
love.
right.
So,
Sounds horrible.
yeah. But this movie I didn't know was based off of a Stephen King short.
Yeah, and they did it before, but it was done differently.
Had
It was
they?
about 10 years ago, I think, when they. And so now this is a retelling of it and doing it a different way.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not too much of a fan of scary movies. For me, it's like eating spicy food. I'm not a fan of spicy food either. I'm sorry, but it's a lot of work. I don't like having to like think like something's gonna be around the corner. And I guess
Right.
it's the point of scary movies is
Right.
like to kind of keep you on your edge of your
And
seat.
enter me, who loves everything scary. I love scary movies.
Yeah. So
But I saying that you now that you've said that and I've said that, I don't think this is the best scary movie that's ever been put out there.
not at all.
It's probably just very mediocre. It's what I would consider a good starting plateau if you are trying to get your own children interested in scary movies. This is a good starting point movie to introduce a scary movie to your own children. It's very basic. It's very average. It does have a couple scares. Good acting by Sophie Thatcher. My goodness, she's become quite the it girl lately. Think of everything she's been in lately.
Yeah, she was in Yellow Jackets, right? Yeah.
Yellow Jackets. Yeah. I played young Natalie, who
Young
probably
Natalie,
is one of my favorite characters.
I thought I
And
recognized
then, you know what
her.
else she was in? She was in the Book of Boba Fett.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, I thought you saw it. Okay, she's one of the girls that helped Boba Fett and that. So she's in the last year she's had quite a starring become the it girl. And in fact, I just read she was cast opposite Jack Quaid in a new sci-fi movie called Companion, brought to us by the people that made the movie Barbarian. Did you see that one?
No.
Oh my goodness, Barbarian! You got to check that one out.
It hasn't been on the show, so I haven't seen it.
No, it hasn't. It was before the show. Sorry. But anyway, Sophie Thatcher, she's good. She's in it. Also, has Chris Messina. He plays the dad, and he pops up also. I haven't seen it yet, but there's that show on Peacock called Based on a True Story.
The show's called Based on a True Story?
Yeah, it's he and what's the girl from Big Bang Theory?
Kaylee
Cuoco. Yes. Yeah. It's kind of like, looks like a take on how to get away with murder, only a new version. So we might have to check that one out.
Yeah, I like Chris Messina. I went through this phase where I watched a lot of independent movies, and he was in a lot of them. So, shout out to him. If you haven't seen any of his past movies, check them all out. They're top notch.
He's a good actor.
Great actor.
Oh, and we got it. And we have to always have a link, to our previous movie. And then in this movie, you have that creepy neighbor guy that walked in and scared everybody. That was David Dashmalchian. You know who he was? He actually played Polka Dot in Suicide Squad, who was the villain like the Dot, and we just saw Spider-Verse. So we're making our connections here.
The guy, the dad that came and spread the plague he was in
Polka Dot in Suicide Squad.
I wouldn't even have noticed.
There's got to be a connection.
There's got to be a connection somewhere.
I fit it in.
7 ways to somewhere. But this movie, yeah, it was very below average for me. I wasn't really scared. The monster it basically turned into like a bear trap after a while. It's like, okay, we just trap this thing. It can bleed, it can die, it can burn. It's kind of like it's slightly scarier than Stranger Things. Like the monster was pretty much the same deal. It was kind of lurks in the shadows.
But I definitely don't think the same quality. To me, Stranger Things is so well done.
Right.
This was just kind of a
Yeah, it was very much the same monster. So for me, while I was watching it, I was like, okay, I can get through this.
I know.
The acting was okay. I mean, the acting was good, but it really didn't affect me in one way or the other. I was just kind of bored. I didn't, I wasn't scared. So I was just kind of just watching like this low budget type scary movie. I don't know. That's been done 1,000 times in so many different ways.
The Boogeyman is coming.
The Boogeyman. Like I was hoping for something a little more aggressive, but it is PG-13, so keeping it toned down.
Yeah, and I think that most teenagers and above can see this. There are some children in peril. If you want, even as an adult, if you want maybe your younger children 10 and above to see this with an adult, I think, like I said, it's a good beginning of a horror story. But rating wise,
I'll probably have to give this a 4. This is gonna get.
Remember, this is from the guy that does not like horror movies. So.
Solid 4. But if I'm gonna taste the salsa, I want it to be spicy.
There you go.
I want it to be scary. I don't want to have to think that I'm gonna be scared and then not get scared, because that's just a lot of build up, like a roller coaster. You're really tensed up going to the top of
Again, I'm gonna make
of
you
the
some. I'm
hill,
gonna make you some salsa with ghost peppers.
and then it just kind of like it's like a little kiddie ride. It like splashes into the drop there.
Well, I'll give it a 6. I'll be a
Okay.
little nicer, and that's only because I think the acting is good. I think the story is adequate. Again, nothing amazing, but if you're looking for something scary on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon to go see with yourself or the family or a friend, I think it's worth checking out.
Maybe.
I know we're caught in the middle here, but yeah.
But yeah, check it out. It's in the theaters right now.
Boogeyman is
Boogeyman. And the third movie we're watching this week is Transformers: Rise of the Beast,
Okay.
also known as Rise of the Hot Garbage. This movie was bad. Holy moly. When are they going to make a real Transformers movie? Like from the first one that I saw, what was it, 2006, 2005, when the first one came out, I was like, what did I watch? Why is Michael Bay still attached to these movies?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just drives me crazy. Like, every time I see this, I'm like, can I just get Megatron, Optimus Prime, a normal Bumblebee, and like Ironhide and Soundwave? Can I get the original characters back? Can I get them in a relatable fashion to the people that grew up watching these cartoons? Like, it just drives me nuts. And I haven't seen one since like the second Transformer movie that came out, again with like Fast and the Furious. They just go off the cliff into these stories that
I think we definitely need to get this guy
ridiculous, dude. Like, if it had not been for this show, I would have walked out midway.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't stand it. It's just like Optimus Prime is just this moody, like weenie that, I don't know. Get me off of my tangent.
I'm gonna say this. I thought I would hate it. I mean, I was like, animals? What's going on here? What? This is crazy.
Man.
But I'm gonna tell you, just to kind of give some background on this. This is the prequel to other Transformers movies. It's a follow-up to Bumblebee. Did you ever see Bumblebee?
I saw Bumblebee.
Okay, Bumblebee was decent.
It was all right.
With Haley Steinfeld.
It was all right, but it was like this side thing. It wasn't really like a Transformers movie.
I agree.
So
in this one, then you've got Optimus Prime. The Autobots are back with the Maximals. Optimus Primal. That was a little bit much for me. I agree. To fight an evil alien group. I think they were called the Terracons. I was trying to figure that one out in my mind. I don't know. But for me, I know. But for me, what I liked about this was Anthony Ramos plays Noah. And Dominic Fishback plays Elena, and she's an archaeologist.
Forgettable.
They're actually humans. They get pulled in to help them. And I thought they did a pretty good job with what, I mean, considering that I expected this, I went into this expecting this to be horrible.
Yeah.
And I actually started to enjoy it as it went on a little bit.
Not at all.
So, okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. Can you name any of the voice actors in this one?
Not one. And I should know Optimus's voice because it's probably Pete Davidson, I recognize right away.
Okay, Pete Davidson.
Yeah, I recognize it. I knew that's what you're. Now
okay.
I know what you're doing now. Yeah, he was. As soon as he started talking, that's Pete Davidson, because they didn't even try to hide it. It was like basically him with barely any auto tune.
What Pete Davidson?
I gave it a little T-Pain, but it barely. So.
And I'm gonna do some other shots out here. You had Michelle Yeoh. She was Arizar the Bird.
Okay.
You had Peter Dinklage, who was Scourge.
Oh yeah, that was the Dinklage.
You had Ron Perlman, who was Optimus Primal.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a good cat. And then you had, my favorite was Christopher Hernandez, who plays Danny Rosas from Ted Lasso. He was Wheeljack. He had the glasses. He came in with the accent. And as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, oh, it's just like his character on Ted Lasso, Danny Rosas. So.
I guess. I don't know, man. These Transformers with Michael Bay has just been this slog. I know they're trying to introduce it to the kids now, but what frustrated me a lot was that they said it in the 90s when I was a teenager, and they have all these references, like the beginning of the movie, they start off, he's fixing a cable box.
Uh-huh.
I was like, that's funny because that's what everybody did or tried to do. If you know anybody with a black box, I'll get free cable. So those references are funny, but I don't think they would have landed on anybody, like my kids wouldn't have known, or anybody born after 2005 would have.
I do feel like the relationship between Noah and Chris, Noah and his brother, was real, and how they would call each other Tails and Sonic, and that was kind of a cool relationship that I thought that went on throughout this as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I ended up liking it more than I thought. I thought it was going to be like you. I thought I was going to hate it. I know, you know me, I give everything a chance.
Yeah.
But there is a story that I wanted to tell about the director behind this movie. Most of this was filmed in Peru, and when they were down in Peru, there was a little boy that would come every day, and he knew they were filming Transformers. So every day he would bring a picture of a Transformers or some drawing that he had done. And literally by the time they were done, I know 75, 80 days of filming down there was quite a collection of pictures, and it finally got to the director. And the director was like, who did all these? So he went and met the boy that made them all, told him they did a great job, and he asked the little boy, he goes, well, what do you need? Tell me what you could use to get, to make your life better. And the little boy said, my school needs a roof.
Wow.
And the director put a roof on that school.
Wow, that's a great story.
Great story. I know, great story. So you got to like this movie a little more now.
A little bit more now, yeah. I mean, how do you not root for that?
No, but I think sometimes the Hollywood, they go in and they film and they kind of leave places. I like when I hear a story that they leave a place better than when they found it. So kudos to the director and the team behind Transformers for doing this. That was definitely a good story. Also, I have to ask you about the G.I. Joe connection. Did you get to that?
Yeah.
So was it going to be G.I. Joe and Transformers? Yeah. I don't know if I can handle that.
Was there a previous connection to?
No, I don't think
between
so.
the two. Because again, I haven't seen all the movies, so I don't know. I could be lost on that connection. But I don't even know what that character, how that character would be transitioned into the G.I. Joe universe, or what character he would play in that universe.
Right.
But again, these movies, I don't know who they're for, because they're not for the kids like me that grew up with the movies.
Is there a lightning flash right now?
Yeah, I'm having like a little. Sorry. Hopefully the flash fixes it. But yeah, they weren't made for, at least for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to see what other critics are saying about this movie, because it was grinding my nerves, and I just couldn't take it for most of it. I was like, what is this? Like,
so I'm gonna guess that your rating is pretty low.
Oh yeah. So you want to know my rating?
What's your rating?
I'm probably gonna give this a 3.
Okay.
A 3.
And he's not gonna like what I have to say, because I expected to give this movie a 3, but I'm actually gonna give this movie a 7.
Really?
Yes. And that's because
so this shows the difference between people that were young in the 80s and were teenagers plus in the 80s, because he's a little bit older than me. So for me, there's a lot of childhood connection to the Transformers.
And you know what? And in my teaching capacity, I've talked to a lot of my students about this. It was kind of interesting. I had a conversation today, and every single one of them loved this movie, and they're looking forward to. I'm just putting it out there, and they're looking forward to going and seeing it again.
Yeah.
So I thought that was okay.
Yeah, I think there's the Beast Master version of the Transformers, and I know there's so many different versions of it now that it's taken on this whole other life that I wasn't able to keep up with. And so for me, from me being a child in the 80s, it just kind of messes with me, I guess. I don't know. But anyway.
I'm with you. But Transformers, yeah. So obviously we're split. And I will be really honest with you. In the beginning, it was weird, the animals. But once I kind of got into the story, I enjoyed it more. And so based on what we gave you, we will be curious to see what you guys have to say.
Another movie where the art surpasses the story, where it's beautiful to look at, it's fun to look at, but
this is where you need to say, do you agree with Marcos about this movie, or do you agree with Andy?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a poll, or we need to put some comments in this version of the video, because I need somebody on my side on this, because
I'm sure you will have many.
I need some critics. But anyways, check it out, Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Hey everyone, thanks again for sticking with us to the end of this episode.
Especially have to deal with Grumpy today.
Dude, yeah. Let's not get back into that, please. But I do want to say thank you for answering our poll. Andy put it up for us. And who was the top spot?
Indiana Jones. You guys are most excited to see our review of Indiana Jones. Hey, we are too. Check it out.
We can't wait for it to come out. It comes out at the end of this month. And I think it premieres as we were recording it. I think the premiere is today, right?
Yeah, we have a friend that's actually at the record.
Hopefully it gets good reviews, and we'll see what happens. But
of course, he might not be a friend anymore since he didn't invite us, but that's okay.
He doesn't get to see it. So. But yeah, we got a few things coming up this summer as well. We got Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. What else we got?
You got From the Bear, Secret Invasion, which is the
Secret
continuation
Invasion,
of the Marvels. You've got Hijack Witcher. Witcher's back, season 3. Jack Ryan's back. So you got all these things coming out. So we might not have time to get to all these. So what I'm going to do for all the upcoming TV things that are coming out, I'm going to put a poll out there as well. And we're going to try to get to obviously the ones that get the most votes.
Yeah, help us figure out what we're watching.
Yeah. Otherwise, we might be pulled in a lot of different directions. So, but yeah, it's then we've also, we talked this week about Based on a True Story. We missed Platonic. There's some others I might put on there that we missed that maybe you guys like and you want us to see. I'll include them in that television one. So.
Yeah, because looking at the summer schedule, there's a lot going on.
Movie-wise, for sure.
Movie-wise. So yeah, we might have to, help us direct our lives by letting us know what we should watch. So to help us out. Yeah. But
movies next week. We've got Extraction, Flash, and Elementals all come out this next week. So.
That's a lot, dude. It's gonna be a lot to keep up with. But until then, everyone, we will see you next time. Have a great week.
Adios.